All right, what's going on? This is Richie Contartesi with the Next Play podcast, and today I have someone that I've known for a really long time.
Yeah.
What we were in middle school.
Middle
How old are you in middle school? 12,
12,
13?
yeah. It's been 12, 13. So it's been a while.
Okay, 23 years, something like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Known each other for a while. Used to whip me up in basketball.
You got
But
me in football.
someone that I've got a lot of respect for. And to make a long story short, Ronnie jumped into the sales game, worked for AT&T, was in the brick and mortars selling, I assume, cell phones and
Yep.
subscriptions. Worked his way up to manager, and then working as like training and coaching with, I guess, Cricket, which was bought by AT&T,
Mhm.
and then ultimately got to the point and realized that he was able to purchase his own, and went out and got investors involved and was able to raise money, purchased it. I think you did. You get like three or four
We had four.
locations?
Yeah, we had four
Three or
here.
four locations, sold it, amazing.
Mhm.
Then kind of went on a track that looked like of investing, and then ultimately decided to go into business with his dad. Love that,
Mhm.
and started an insurance agency. And today he's got what? You got current five sales reps that work on your team, or
With four, total four now.
four?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's you, your dad, a little family
And
business, got
yep.
four reps and ball.
Mhm.
But dude, good for you, man. And I love that you went and you sold four franchises that you had, and you wrote it was an offer that I couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. So
Thank you.
Ronnie, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Richie, man. It's definitely an honor. I've watched you and your motivational speeches over the last number of years, and man, just
Yeah.
really inspired by everything that you're doing.
Awesome, man. Well, cool, dude. I'm super pumped to dive into you, your success, how you built your agency, what's working for you.
Mhm.
But let's just start with in the very beginning. Like what made you and your dad decide to say, "Hey, we're gonna go into insurance and start an agency."
Sure. So, prior to me being in insurance, I was in the finance industry. I worked as a
Yeah.
financial advisor for Merrill Lynch, Fisher Investments, and Edward Jones. And after about 4 years in the industry, I was just burnt out. I was looking for a change. I wasn't really happy with what I was doing and the way that the companies that they want you to operate. And I was at a lounge, a lounge that I frequent, and I ran into a State Farm agent. And at the time, I had no idea about insurance and the property and casualty industry. And this agent, he kind of introduced me to it. Told me about all the different ways that you can, all the different types of products that you can sell. And so then, that piqued my interest. So I went and started doing my research, and I knew that this was the next thing that I wanted to do. So I went and got licensed. I went and got my property, my 220 license. And at the latter part of my stint at Fisher Investments, we found, I was doing my research. I looked at State Farm, looked at Allstate, and came across Brightway Insurance. And, it just made sense for us. My dad, he had recently retired. He had retired 2 weeks before COVID started in 2020. And, he was looking for, he was interested in, working, finding some type of work. And I said, Dad, why would you go and work for somebody else again? You just spent 37 years working, for the Boy Scouts. I said, now is the time for us to create a legacy for our family and create our own family business. And
Love that.
and then that piqued his interest, and so we got into the process with Brightway. I knew ultimately I wanted to be an independent broker and having access to multiple different carriers, and Brightway just made sense for us. And so we went through the whole process. We did our due diligence. We interviewed other agents, got their feedback of Brightway and their experience with Brightway, and then we signed the contract, and we opened February of 2022. And I haven't looked back. It's been a great experience, challenging, especially here in Florida, very challenging homeowners insurance market. But we're navigating through it, and we're getting through it. And it's definitely a blessing to be in business with my family. It's something that I've
Yeah.
always wanted to do, and so
That's what I was gonna ask you. What is that like being in business with your dad?
it's great. It's great. I mean, we work really well together. We, I got, I would say I got the majority of my business acumen from my father, and seeing, him progress within his career with the Boy Scouts, and we work just very well together. He feeds a lot on me. I'm a little bit more tech savvy. And so, he feeds, he relies a lot on me to help him with stuff. I just pick up things a lot quicker, and so we bounce. He has a lot of strengths with it, with his network of folks, his network in Orlando, and so we just really feed off each other,
Yeah.
and it's been great. It's been great.
Yeah. I love it, man. So what is your goal with what you're building right now? Like what are you trying to do? Like what how do you foresee this business? What do you foresee it growing into?
Right. So, my goal is to one, all of the producers and insurance agents that I have, they're all 100% remote based. Right. So I want to build a business that is completely remote. I think that, the old style, I think one of the things that COVID did is made everybody very comfortable working from home or working remote.
For
And,
sure.
and it's been, and what we do know, and speaking with State Farm agents and other agents, that it's tough to get people to want to come into the office and work. And so my
Yeah.
goal is to develop a platform where agents, have 100% autonomy to essentially build their own book of business within our Brightway system. Right now our main goal is to, get to that $5 million book of business mark, and then 10 million on after that. In
Yeah.
terms of this year, I would like to bring on an additional, about four additional sales producers. Again, 100% remote, and they're commission based only. Ultimately, I want you know team members that are hustlers and that are going to go out there and not wait for business, but go out and get it. And because that's ultimately
Yeah.
what me and my father are doing. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's the idea that we have. Is building this franchise and this build and this operation and making it, I guess, 100% remote based.
Yeah, I love that, man. So let's talk about how you've gotten to this point. Like you started out, you and your dad. I love that. Um, how did you get going? How were you able to get from you and your dad to four and adding more team members?
Well, so the team members that we brought on, they were actually folks that, three of them they were already in our network. Another one we actually met on a Facebook neighborhood group. Uh, I follow a bunch of different neighborhood groups, and this young lady, she posted one day. She was like, "Hey, does anybody know of an insurance broker here locally?" So I just I went on and responded, thinking she wanted a insurance quote, or for home or auto. So so I sent her a message, and she responded back, and we set up a call. And she was like, "Hey, I've been in insurance for 20 years. I've worked at Progressive, AIG, Citizens, and I'm just looking for somewhere to hang my license. I want to get back in insurance now." And so it was just like a match made in heaven. Everything just made sense. And so we brought her on board July of last year. Um, uh, the other agents have their health insurance agents. They have their own health insurance practice. And so, my idea, I guess the vision that I had is, I want folks who may already have their own business, but can use the property and casualty, um, having that 220 license or 2044 license, and they can use this, as essentially an additional arm to what they're already doing. Like the young lady that I said that she does Medicare, Medicaid, and health insurance. Well, she went and got her license, and now she's able to offer her clients even more now. So she, not just health insurance, but now she could do homeowners insurance, auto insurance, and so forth. So that's really the type of team members that I'm looking at bringing on. Is one, somebody who already has an established source of income, because as we do know, getting started, especially when you are 100% remote based, it's not a lot of money. Getting started in the insurance industry, it takes time to build your book of business. And so if I can find somebody who already has a sustainable income, they can do this, and until they're able to build up their book of business.
Got it. Okay. I
Mhm.
like that. So basically the way you've been able to kind of ramp up is one, you've got your network, your dad's network, and then the team members are people that you knew. So you had
Correct.
people that you knew that you brought in and you got them running. So what are you doing today that's working when it comes to finding and getting new clients? Like what are some things that you're doing that's working well?
Yeah, so we're a part of many different, quite a few different networking groups. One's called the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. I'm a part of the chapter here in Tampa. My father, he's a part of the chapter one in Orlando. That's one of the one of our biggest centers of influences because this organization is full of real estate agents, loan officers, basically everybody in real estate. And so, our bread and butter is, really building relationships and networking with real estate agents, loan officers, home inspectors, state farm agents, and so forth. And that's really how we've, you know, really developed a referral pipeline, so to speak. We're also very big in the community. So, I'm on the board of a local nonprofit called Empower Minds. We do a lot of work here in the community. Our main basis is getting kids involved in fishing. As you know, I'm very, very passionate about fishing. I
I
love
see the
fishing.
posts, the fishing stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, and so my idea is, we want to get more kids involved in fishing. And so, between that, we also do community related vendor events. So if there's a community fair or anything like that that's looking for vendors, that I love doing that. That's been a great avenue of one, really getting our brand out there so people can know who we are because Brightway, th- their name is not as prevalent like a State Farm or Allstate. So still people
Right.
still have to get to know who we are. So being out there in the community has has really benefited us. But as of today, we are in terms of our we're completely referral based at this point. I don't cold call. I don't do any type of
Dang.
prospecting. We are between leads that we get from real estate agents, loan officers, calls, and our website. It keeps us very busy right now.
Dang, dude, that's wild. Okay, so you don't have to do any type of like lead gen,
No,
outreach, purely referrals. Holy
we're
smokes.
pretty, yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Do you feel like that's going to be the long term sustainable model in order to continue to grow?
At this point, yes, because I mean, if it continues the way it is right now, I mean, we are very busy. We
Dude,
deal
that's
with,
amazing,
yeah,
bro.
we're
Good for
very
you.
busy. So, I mean, as long as it stays this way, yes. But if if things slow down, then I'll go back and we'll go on the hunt and
Yeah.
find those key referral partners.
Well, what about your team members? Like, are they able to have the same amount of referrals and stuff, or are they doing their own kind of prospecting or
Both. I give them referrals. They do their own prospecting. They utilize their own network. Um, but yeah, I keep them fairly busy with the amount of leads and referrals that we get.
so your strategy is fully around networking, right?
Hmm.
And getting out in the community. And so for someone listening right now and they're like, okay, I want to generate more leads for my business, but they're not interested in making calls, they're not interested in running Facebook ads, right? Like how would you share with them like where to start when it comes to networking? Like you're a part of so many different board of directors and you have the fishing thing and all these things and I see you're posting them. But for someone like trying to get into networking and they want to do that, like how would you suggest getting started with that?
One, I would find your local chamber. That's a great avenue, well, especially here in Tampa. Tampa, we have a lot of real folks in real estate. So, joining your local chamber, getting involved, and just going out and meeting people. That's
Yeah.
really been the biggest thing, here in this industry, especially here in Florida, with Florida being such a challenging market as it is, everybody's a client. So as long as you go and tell people what you do, there's going to come to a point. They may not need you right now, but 30, 45 days, maybe even 6 months down the line, when they get their policy renewal and their rates jump up, guess who they're going to call? The last person that
Right.
they met, which is you. And so, the biggest thing is just going out and meeting as many people as you can, and also just those key referral partners. Like, our bread and butter is loan officers, number one, real estate agents. Um, we get quite a bit of business from State Farm as well, because they have very strict underwriting guidelines, so they can't write business here in Florida. They can't write any homeowners, um, any homes built prior to 2005. And so that's a big, so they send us business almost daily, because they just don't have an appetite for it. So
Right.
that'd be my
So how
recommendation.
how do you set up these referral partners? Like, you're going out, you talk to somebody, like, what's your process for even getting something like that set up?
Yeah. So, typically once I meet, if I meet a, ex loan officer, typically the following day, I'll send them an email, and I will, thank them, hey, it was great meeting you. Hey, if you're open, if you have some availability in the next, week or so, hey, let's grab coffee or lunch. And that's been my go-to strategy. Most of them are always open to doing that. And then, we would go have coffee, go have lunch, and then that way it gives them the opportunity to get to know me, who I am, and then why it will be beneficial for both of us to work together. And when I think, once people see who you are, get to know who you are, your background, and what you're doing, they want to do business with you, and that's really how it's been with us.
I love that, dude. So okay, so I love this, man. So you're on these meetings, you first of all, you meet them in person, but you do the one thing that nobody does, which is you
Follow up.
follow up with them.
You have to follow up. You have to follow
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Okay. So you send an email. They might not respond right away. You
Mhm.
follow up with them, but you get them to meet you in person. A lot of people would try to do Zoom or phone calls. Why in person?
It's just different, there's a somewhat of a barrier when on Zoom. I feel like when I can meet somebody, I can shake their hand, I can look them in the eye, look at their body language. It's for me, it's a different type of connection, and that's essentially what I want to establish with those key referral partners. And so it's just I just prefer meeting people face to face. I know that since COVID has changed the way we do a lot of business now. Now a lot of things are Zoom, but for me,
Right.
it's the old school of, hey, let's sit down, let's meet,
Face to face.
and face to face, and get to know each other.
I love that. Okay. So when let's say you meet with them in person. How do you work this conversation and this relationship to then turn them into a referral partner?
Here's the thing: I never asked them to be a referral partner. I feel that if I just have if we just have a basic, just a get to know each other conversation. When I'm going in, I'm not going in trying to ask for business. I don't need to do that. I want to go in and get to know them as a person, get to know about their family, what things that they like to do, and stuff like that. And as long as, and I tell them about what I do, and as long as, I feel like we have a, good chemistry, for the most part, they always say, hey, well, I'm going to start sending business to you. I rarely have to ask them like, hey, can you start sending me your business? For me, that's a bit awkward, right? If they
Right.
see what I do, I explain my value proposition that, hey, we're a broker. We have access to multiple carriers to service your clients. I don't necessarily have to ask for business. And I think one of the biggest things is, after that conversation, the first time that they send you a lead, you gotta be very responsive. I'm very big on that. So so as soon as I get a lead from one of my referral partners, as long as I have my phone on me, they're getting a response within 2 or 3 minutes. I'm very, very quick on that. um,
Dang.
Also being
Nice.
very quick with getting them a quote back in the time that you say. So if I say I'm going to get your quote back in an hour or later on this evening, you get that quote back to them at whatever the commitment that you made to them. So I think that's very important. People like that. I'm a man of my word, and if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And um, and so when people say that, excuse me, when you do that, they recognize it, and now it's to the point where I might be working with a real estate agent or a loan officer, and that loan officer will start referring me to other loan officers within their own branch. And then you do and then you just, so, and then it's like you just replicate it. And that's just what's worked for me and my team. And, we just continue to, continue to do that.
Yeah, and you said something there that I think is really important, which is you share your value proposition, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people struggle with sharing their value proposition and what they do. Um, and like you said, if you're good at building relationships and caring about them and having a real conversation, and then sharing what you do, it turns into them being like, hey, I'll send you people, like I want
Right.
to work with you.
Mhm.
But the value prop is important, right? And making so that they can make a connection. So for everyone, like I'd love to know, like, how do you go about your proposition? How do you explain it in a way where people get it and they're like, oh, like I want to, oh, I could totally work with this guy. I could totally send business your way.
Sure. One of the things I believe in is not making it sound too cliche, right? And no,
Yeah.
or scripted. Mine is very simple. It's, hey, here at Brightway Insurance, I'm an insurance broker. We have access to multiple different carriers here throughout the state of Florida. We have 15 plus carriers throughout the state of Florida. So ultimately, what that means for you is I'm able to shop the market for your clients and to make sure that they not only have number one, the best coverage at the most competitive rates. That's my ultimate goal, and I keep it at that. And you're like, okay, great. And very simple. It doesn't have to be, that's thing about value proposition. It doesn't have to be this long scripted, robotic sentence. Just make it very casual. You don't have to, you don't have to, just keep it very simple and really not making it sound scripted. I think that's the important thing because people can tell when you've rehearsed it. And so
Right.
as long as it comes off casual, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so do you feel like so basically your prospecting is really just finding more referral partners
That's
and
it.
connecting with them, getting them on board. Now, because essentially a referral partner, I look at it as you're prospecting, you're finding this referral partner, they're almost like a client. They're sending you lots of clients though. So instead of prospecting for one client, you're prospecting for many clients. So
Right.
you still have to maintain those relationships, right? So how do you
Mhm.
go about servicing them, taking care of them, but also maintaining those relationships? Is that a part of what you do, or is that like how does that work?
Yeah, so typically, what I'll do is if I find a networking event that I'm going to, I think the power is in the invite. That's one of the things that my dad always said. Regardless if they're not able to go or not, send out the invite. So I'll if I'm going to a networking event, I'll reach out to one of my referral partners and say, hey, I'm going to a networking event. This networking event, you want to come? It's either going to be yes, they're going to come, or no, they're not. Even if they don't come, the fact that I reached out to them and sent them an invite, I think a lot of times they appreciate that. And so that
Yeah.
keeps you as the agent, that keeps you top of mind because that, if the roles are reversed, it's like, oh, that person, he's actually thinking about me. It's not just, I'm sending him all this business. He's also thinking about, maybe some ways that I can enhance my network. And so I do things like that. I've taken out some referral partners fishing on the boat. Um, so I just try to be I try to be as creative as I can. And then from time to time, if I know exactly where that referral partner works, if I'm in that area, I'll reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to have lunch, or you want to grab coffee and catch up? And I'll catch you up on what's going on in the insurance market. And so just doing things like that, that keeps you top of mind to them. And as long as I'm top of mind to them, then they'll continue um, to send me business.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Why did you decide to go that route versus running ads or making calls? Did you try that before, or you like what was the determining factor for you?
So making calls, I did that in cold calling. I did that in my previous career as a financial advisor, and I said I don't want to do that again. Um, and I
Mm,
did a lot. I got burnt out, and I said there has to be a better way in this market to build a business. And so that was my determining factor of, hey, I don't want to do this. This is not the way that I want to build a business. So I got to do it my way. In terms of running ads, we have we've run some ads, and we've generated some business from it. But just for me, I just enjoy meeting people, and having those relationships. I've just felt like that's just more of the way that I envision, me building this business is more so on the relationship piece as opposed to, cold calling. But I do know the ads do work, but we just, at this point, we just haven't had to do it. We haven't experienced a slowdown in order for us to feel that need that we had to run ads to generate additional business.
For sure. Okay. Now I know you said everyone's remote. So do you and your dad, you live in Tampa now, yeah?
Hmm.
Does your dad still live in Palm Beach?
No, he's in Orlando.
Your mom, he's in
He's in,
Orlando? Okay,
hmm.
cool. So I'm assuming you obviously both work remote too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So you guys work remote. Do you talk every day?
every day, multiple times a day, all day.
How is that? How is that? Is it
It's I feel like, I feel like me and my father and even my mother, so she handles our back office. So whenever we write a policy, she manages our agency
Oh,
management system.
really?
Yeah, so she does all of our policy inputting into our agency management system. So I feel that now I probably have the absolute best relationship with my parents that I've probably ever had because we talk all day long. If my father's working on something, he needs help, he'll call me. Hey, I need, what are your thoughts on this? How do I do this? And so we're just always, communicating back and forth on a daily basis. So it's been
That's
fantastic.
awesome. Because okay, so when we were in middle school, if I remember correctly, was your
Mhm.
mom the principal?
She was, yeah, Polo
She was
Park,
the
yeah.
principal. Okay,
Assistant
I was like,
principal,
is she?
assistant principal. Yep,
She was assistant principal. Okay, I
yep,
was like, is she the
yep,
principal or was
yep,
she a counselor?
yep.
Okay, I remember that. Okay, so I'm assuming obviously she's
She
not
retired. Yeah.
doing that anymore.
Yeah, she
She was.
retired in 2020, 2020, yeah, 2020 as well.
Oh, so she was there all the way until 2020.
Not at Polo Park. So she was assistant once we moved from Palm Beach. We moved to Atlanta. She wasn't assistant principal up there, but once we relocated back down to once they relocated to Orlando, uh, she became assistant principal in Central Florida for about 15 years before she retired.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. So okay. So you get a lot of referrals coming in. You know that it's working for you. But what about so for your team? Did are they full time or are they part time?
They're about, I would say, part time. They kind
Okay.
of integrate what they're doing into what their full time business is. So
Okay. I got it. All right. So they have like kind of like full time roles, and then they're doing this as a way to make additional money with it.
correct. Hmm.
Got it. Okay. So then you don't necessarily have to feed them leads or help them. Okay. Got
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, so you're definitely running your business a little bit differently
Yeah.
than many others. And it's pretty cool, dude, that you're having the results that you are doing it that way.
Thank you.
Um, I mean, I think you found something that was your strength and are just going all in on that versus trying to do a bunch of things that you
Right.
might not be good at or not know anything about.
Right. Hmm.
I like that. So as you build your team, like what's next for you? Are you planning on just continuing to find remote workers that can come in and kind of work how your team is currently working, or do you feel like you're going to end up building out and having full-time agents, or how do you see that?
Yeah, I think we'll probably eventually get to a point where we'll have full time agents. We started out from scratch, so running this business as lean as possible in the early stages is very important for us, and so that's why we have the commission only model. Now, once we get to the point, one, I want to bring on a virtual assistant, here within the next within the next 6 months, because we are starting to deal with a lot of service related issues that in turn takes up quite a bit of my time. So I need, I need somebody there to fill in that and to fill in that void.
Mm,
But if I can continue to build out a team of remote team members, that's first for me. If that in turn if that ever stops, or I can't find any good quality candidates to do that or to fill that role, then we'll look at more of a full time agent.
yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting for anyone listening right now. If you're in a position where you want to have the ability to make additional income with what you're currently doing, definitely reach out to Ronnie because he could plug you into a platform
Right.
and a team that will help you get there. So, how do you go about like managing and leading your team? Is there like do you do like daily huddles with them, or like how do you keep them engaged and motivated and moving forward?
Yeah, so I talk with every one of them every morning. I give them a call, see how the previous day went. Talk about what are some of the things that they're working on. If they need help with anything additional in terms of quoting, what type of opportunities that they may have coming on the horizon that they may need my help with. So we talk almost on a daily basis. We also utilize Microsoft Teams. So if they ever need help, quoting in the system, I'm able to, log into Teams and they're able to share their screen and I can walk them through whatever help they need. And then one time a month, we'll have an in-person meeting where we'll go over our previous month results, some of the opportunities for the current month, and really what we're, some of the goals that we have for, the current month and so forth. And then it just gives everybody the opportunity to, um, discuss, some of the things that are working for them, and then also some things that they're having challenges on that they may need assistance with. And then, from there, we're able to collaborate and help them develop a game plan to achieve their goals.
I love that, man. And what do you feel like right now is like from as a agency, what would you say right now is your biggest hurdle? Like what's something right now that you're really trying to overcome that you know if you do, you're gonna get to the next level?
I would say our biggest hurdle, and that takes up quite a bit of our time, that picks up that can take up a significant amount of time, is um, you know, when it comes to insuring older homes that have challenges, right? So, here in Florida, older homes older than 30 years old require, they call it a 4-point inspection, and wind
Yeah.
mitigation inspection. So if that 4-point inspection comes back unsatisfactory, we have to do a lot of coaching and say, hey, you have to go and get X amount, and get this fixed, get that fixed, and that in turn takes up a lot of time, right? Because you have to wait for them to get a contractor to come out, make that fixed, update the 4-point, submit it to the underwriter for them to approve. So those things, I would say, is our biggest hurdle, and just for me at least right now, is just the volume of referrals that we're getting. It's I'm up early and I'm up, I stay up late quoting and binding and so forth. So that's our biggest hurdle. I'm starting to see that the service side is starting to be a little bit challenging, just with the amount of
Right.
service
Getting
work that
big
I'm
enough.
doing. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
so I do know that finding a CSR or a virtual assistant in the near future is going to be critical,
Yeah.
um, because
Probably
I don't
sooner than rather than later, huh?
exactly because I don't want it to take I don't want the service side of the business to really take me away from generating new business. That's at the at the end of the day, that's critical to growing our business.
For sure. So when it comes to sales, what do you feel like, how have you had so even if you're getting referrals, referrals are better than cold leads. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Mhm.
Um, how have you gone about putting together a sales process that's allowed you to have the success that you've had? What does that look like?
Sales process. I mean, I don't know that we necessarily have a defined sales process. It's more so, a lead call, somebody calls in, they need a quote. We have a spreadsheet of the questions that you have to ask and document. We also utilize an agency management system where, we have to put in the notes from the conversation. We have a tool called Quote Rush that we use to do all of our quoting. That it's a rater tool that we enter in all the information and it shoots out the information to all of the carriers to get the quotes. Once we get the quotes back, we go through and we try to find the quote that has one, the best coverages at the most competitive rates. Then we send that quote out. We follow up. We follow up the client. We typically give them about a day to review it, And then we follow up with them the following day, to see if they have any questions, see if they, if they want to compare our quote to either what they currently have, if they're shopping. And so having that consultative approach, and another thing that's really big for us is education, because I would say probably about 95% of the people I talk with have no idea what is on what their coverages cover on a homeowner's insurance policy or an auto policy. I ask them, I say, hey, how well do you understand this? It's like, I don't know. Nobody's ever explained it to me. And so I think that education piece and taking the time to walk through every single coverage and making sure and explaining it in a very simple way, right? Not using a lot of industry jargon, but explaining it to where your grandmother can understand it if you tried to explain it to her.
Right.
That's so that education piece is really big for us, and it's something that I really harp on with all of my agents, and making sure that we take the time, because we don't want to just be, we don't want to just sell a policy. We want to make sure that our clients, they have a good understanding of what their insurance covers, because the last thing you want is come time for a claim and they have no idea what's in that policy. They may have thought something was in there that wasn't, and you just don't want to have that type of experience with your clients.
Got it. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
So what's your next play, Ronnie? Like what is your next play moving forward and growing and good at getting to the next level?
In terms of with this business or just in general?
Um, just in general.
In general, outside of this business, one, I would, my ultimate goal, and I think it's really the ultimate goal of any insurance agent, is to build build an agency that you can get to a point where you are able to pull back and have an operation where you have a team that is running all the operations of your business. So my ultimate goal is to build this to a point where I can step back, I can oversee everything, have somebody that manages all, my, the team members and all the operations, and I can pull back and I can, move, I can, really go on to other ventures. For me, the biggest thing for me after this is fishing, right? So, eventually getting my fishing captain's license and doing this, and chartering and doing charters. Fishing has been my passion. I've been fishing since I was 3 years old, and I thoroughly enjoy taking people out fishing. And so, outside of that, outside of this agency, that's next for me.
I love that, man. And so real quick for everyone watching, can you share? Because don't you have like a thing that you do with fishing with kids,
We
something
do.
like that? Where so how does
Yeah.
that work? Is that
Yeah. So
yeah?
here in Tampa, spring break, so about 3 weeks ago, we hosted a fishing extravaganza. We partnered with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation, at a conservation center here in Riverview, and they have a very nice setup. So it was a 3-day event. Each day we had anywhere between 40 and 45 kids that came out, and the Florida Fish and Wildlife instructors, they would take the kids through basically a full workshop on fishing, conservation, learning about different species of fish, how to catch fish, um, how to tie knots, how to cast, basically how to do everything regarding, related to fishing. And then once they finish the workshops, um, the conservation, they have a big pond out in the back that is stocked with saltwater fish. And so the kids actually get the opportunity to go back out and basically use the items that they just learned in the workshops and take it out and fit, and they're able to go back out there and fish. And we've gotten really great feedback from that. The kids love it, and now we're actually working on developing a summer camp. That's the next phase.
Nice.
We're trying to get to the point where we can make this not just a spring break thing, but um, but just more readily available. Because if you think about it,
Yeah.
if you want to go and play basketball, where do you go? You go to your rec league. If you want to, they have places for kids to play basketball, football, karate, baseball, and so forth. But where do kids, where do kids go if they want to learn how to fish? You don't really hear about many places that are doing that. So we're trying to be a pioneer and really try to spearhead that and create something here in the Tampa Bay area that kids can learn learn how to fish and then take those skills and, and become, better anglers.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
love that.
Appreciate
Super
it.
cool, super cool.
Thank
Well, listen, Ronnie, for someone that I've known for 20 something years, went from whooping my you know what in basketball to successfully selling multiple franchises and now killing it in insurance, dude. It's a pleasure to
Okay.
have you on the show. And
Thank you.
if you're out there and you're, looking to add additional income or you're looking to continue to grow your business, reach out to Ronnie. Ronnie, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, so you can contact me. You can give me a call. My number is 813 820 1632, or feel free to email me, Ronnie, RONNIE .oats, OATS, at brightway.com.
And if you go on Facebook and you put in Ronnie Oats,
Right.
you'll see him
Yep.
there. He's
Yep.
looking fly on his car.
Yes.
Uh, but listen, Ronnie, this was awesome. I really appreciate you sharing your story and what you've done and what you're gonna do. So
Thank
appreciate having you on the show, man.
Hey, thanks again, man, Richie. It's been a pleasure. It's great, always great connecting with you, and continue to do what you're doing. This
For
platform has
sure.
been great, and just love seeing what you're doing. So kudos to you, man.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
got it. All right, man.